name is Paul Pickford and this my wife Vicki. We were bumbling along quite nicely, both with decent jobs. We had occasional holidays and trips, but really we were happy being with each other and the dogs on the couch. Then in November 2012 I had a massive stroke. It has left me paralyzed and non-verbal, which is not great, but it is not the end of life either. Really, it was in the hospital very early on that it became apparent that speech was getting to be an issue. The stroke had effectively left me without a voice. When you realize you can't talk, you cannot be understood.
If you get overwhelmed, come back, just chill and don't think about it, and then go back into it again, because it can get very confusing. I was in hospital all day and then I was on the computer all night. Instead of just picking up the phone and saying, I don't understand, can you just explain? But if you don't understand, ask.
The SNL therapist introduced us to the e-tran's communications board, a very simple but effective communication device. Although considered to be low-tech and slow, it's a godsend compared to no speech at all. Because we used it so much initially, we no longer need a physical board, much to amusement and bewilderment of onlookers. But the truth is, it is really quite simple.
When he went down to the stroke unit, they were absolutely frightened to death of using the e-tran frame. If they had, it would have made their job and nursing Paul so much easier.
A few months into my recovery and rehabilitation, I was assessed by the ACE Centre. There were many different ways and resources available to ensure good communication. It was determined I would be able to use an eye gaze device. It not only gave me a voice by generating what I wanted to say, but it also provided me with access to other resources such as social media and email. I'm not overstating when I say that day with ACE changed my life.
That lone device in the early days was probably the beginning of Paul getting his independence back.
I tend to use different elements of everything we have talked about with different people depending on the situation. In conjunction with the guys at ACE, I recently upgraded to a grit pad, but instead of eye gaze I have an air mouse as my activation method. The main reasons for changing away from eye gaze was I spend a lot of time outdoors or in a conservatory with a traditional polycarbonate roof, and the air mouse is slightly less affected by changing light levels. I have also managed to use the only volitional movement I have to operate a switch. It also enabled me to control certain elements of my environment that were difficult and the cause of much frustration. This effectively is like a left click on a mouse, so between this traditional Dwell software and my air mouse pointer I can use all functions on my device. I am now able to control 2 televisions, all household lights, heating and several peripherals, all from my machine. I am also able to access Facebook and WhatsApp to keep in touch with people. In fact, pretty much complete access to the internet and all that brings complete control of my mobile phone. For me, certainly it's been a real game changer. The software has allowed me to build a bespoke keyboard. It also learns how I construct sentences. I am working towards writing sentences fully using predictive text. It also helps embarrassing Vicki when we are out. An electronic voice say rude words is very funny.
Like the Morning Glory in B&M. Flowers, and you manage to turn it into something else. Even the dogs listen to him now with that. Paul takes her out on his own because we have the lead on the chair and the tracker.
There is no doubt all of the different are slower than speaking, and this is frustrating. With people who don't know you, it's worth giving them a warning. Your conversation will be slow with pauses, and to expect this and not feel awkward. There are different apps and different softwares that do the same things in slightly different ways, and it is finding what works best for you. I have also found that sometimes I have to accept, sometimes I have to be prepared to change. For a long time I used a grid system that involved clicking through screens or grid selecting the required words. One of the big things that get to me, even now after all this time, people try to finish your sentences or guess what you are trying to say. Often their motive is good, with them believing it is less work for you if they get what you're trying to say quickly. The problem is they only remember the one time they have got it right, not the other 99 they didn't.
I'm still learning. You don't want to watch them struggle in a way. So it's like I'm being a bit protective, trying to help, but I'm not. We've come so close to having like mega bus stops in public.
Drives me potty.
And you can see that other people around you are getting a little bit nervous because of the silence. To say silence is golden, and it just gives Paul time to write what he wants.
Because of the delay in my response, I often say something out of context, and this can be funny.
You're not allowed to look at the screen when he's typing. Ever. It's Paul's wife. I'm very much guarded around him with other people. But sometimes it's detrimental because you're in effect cutting him out of a conversation. In shops and things like that, he'll ask questions himself. It's a normal way of life now. Even when we're in bed at night, I still don't get to turn the TV over. But it will be hard for people that have only just discovered it, and you know, you've got a certain amount of anger, resentment, frustration. Don't give up, keep going, and just go with the flow, because it really does open up the world to someone who hasn't got a voice.